Thanks for listening to the Granite List Live. Today's episode is brought to you by Connect Healthcare Collaboration, where benefits marketing meets clinical advocacy to drive effective employee engagement. Welcome to another episode of the Granite List Live, where we explore all things human capital and employee benefits related. I'm your host, Sally Pace, and today we are joined by Will Busch of Soteria Life. Will, thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So what is Soteria Life, and why in the world did you decide to jump into this crazy world of employee benefits?
Sure. Happy to give an overview here. Soteria Life is a well-being analytics platform that is in business to help the American population thrive in a very simple way. And what that means is, according to Gallup right now, 45% of American employees are struggling, which means that on their definition of well-being, which considers career, financial, community, physical, and social well-being, these employees are not really living the life that they expect to live. And so what we've built is a way to help employers meet the needs of their employees in a way that they can make dynamic decisions and also get the outcomes that they want to get faster.
Struggling can mean a lot of things to different people. So how do you define that?
Sure. So struggling just basically means on a life evaluation index, which is what Gallup uses, is I'm not living at the level that I want to live. So it's a very personal assessment. But for instance, the number one concern on employees' mind across the nation right now is financial instability. Not just because we're in a dynamic economic climate, but because a lot of people really fear running into an unplanned expense that can take them and their families out from an economic perspective. So what we're doing is understanding, again, what are the second and third levels of need that an employee may have that their employers may not even be aware of. But the expectations that employees have right now for their employers helping them solve those needs are going up. But employers' capabilities in meeting those needs are in a lot of ways staying stagnant. And so what we want to do is step in the middle and actually bring the employers to the employees in a dynamic way using artificial intelligence, machine learning to actually create a dynamic feedback loop.
Nice. And can you give our audience an idea of the types of services that are available through Soteria Life?
Sure. So one service that we have is a benefit navigator, and that's building on the capability that I just described, which is employers can utilize this service, which is essentially an application that employees can download and use. And what it does is help the employee actually think about the life or family context that they're solving for. You know, they could be a middle-aged person living in Chicago with a blended family, with teenagers to toddlers, and looking for ways to find more active solutions to support the athletic career of their children, but also figuring out how to maintain work-life balance in a more effective way. Well, when you give our application that type of context, our application will take the employer's sponsored benefits, take my personal needs that I give you as a user, and it'll give personalized recommendations on what benefits I should be using and some careful, curated set of recommendations that I should take in order to achieve those outcomes faster.
That is fascinating. And in many ways, it's sad that it's taken this long for us to get to that stage of actually marrying benefits needs with individual or household needs. But I know that's just one of the ways you're addressing the needs that an individual or a family might have. So tell us some more about the products available.
Well, and there's so many levels of value that we have just tested and co-developed with consumers and employers and even benefit providers in this. And a lot of it is just around education and being aware of what benefits do I have access to. I personally, as an employee, haven't really read my benefits ever. down to the detail level that I probably should have. In a lot of cases, I asked somebody, what I thought the benefit description actually meant and how I thought it was relevant to me. And once I locked those things in, unless I had a major life event like had a child or, moved from one location to another, I just simply do the same thing that I did the previous year. Now, the good thing about that is it's automated, doesn't take a lot of time. The downside of that is life is dynamic. It's more dynamic than one big event per year when we all are rushing toward the end of the year, selecting our benefits for the upcoming year. Things change. And so what we saw is there's a need for more dynamic communication and education around here are the things my employer is already giving me. How do I apply them to my life in a way that's relevant, but also flexible?
And I know in previous conversations that you and I have had, you've used a term that I love talking about, family preservation, and that whole idea of planning, and that there are so many things that happen in life that people don't plan for. But yet, so many employers do offer a standard, what I would call a standard employee assistance program, and you're really elevating that to a much higher level. Is that accurate?
It is. And again, Sally, it's a good question because, it is historical behavior to offer employee assistance programs. They've been around for at least decades at this point. That said, the problem is the utilization on them have stayed below double digits. So somewhere between 5 and 10%. But 70 million people, or at least employees in this country, have access to these paid employee assistance programs. So there's a disconnect. We're offering this and paying for this consistently, yet, only 5 to 10% of our people are using it. And so what we're doing is using technology to drive more engagement, create more relevance for people, and also be more dynamic to say, where are you in your employee life cycle right now? What's happening in your life that we can help you with? And if we can't help you through our ecosystem of benefits, Soteria Life also has partnerships with experts and tools and resources to supplement the things that employers are not providing their employees right now.
Help for the audience, of course, it's a mix of people in all walks of the benefits space. But I think you bring up a really great point about there are certain factors in an employee's life that they're not just going to run to HR and talk about and want to divulge, but yet there's a real unmet need. So what are some of those things, and how is Soteria Life addressing them?
Sure. So one need, which is an unpopular topic, but unfortunately it's a frequent event, is divorce in families and two people deciding to grow apart from each other. And it's an extremely disruptive event for not only the families that are going through it, but also in some ways for employers. So when you think about the fact that stress costs the American workplace over $300 billion a year, divorce is one of the top cited causes of that stress. Yet no one really talks about it. No one has a plan for it. And in a lot of cases, it's one of the biggest disruptors to a family's financial stability. So again, going back to the number one concern that employees have right now is financial instability. Well, divorce is one of the biggest causes of that. So because families lose 28 to 42% of their income when they find themselves in that situation, one of the benefits that we supplement to an employer is we have an insurance, a family preservation benefit that will supplement some of the expenses for families that go through that unfortunate event. That said, we also have prevention tools to help families that are having situations that we all go through to minimize the likelihood that they actually go through it. So, and we like that a lot more than the actual financial benefit to help people. That said, we do have resources to meet people where they are. And just to put this in perspective, there are over 2,000 divorces per day in the United States of America. There are over 1 million kids who are impacted per year in the United States of America by divorce. So when you add that problem up and then you think about the amount of people who are at work right now today suffering in silence, that's affecting workplace productivity and really the ecosystem and the culture that a lot of employers want. We want to give them a solution to actually solve those needs.
Absolutely. Because, yeah, I joked with you previously that, one, most people don't enter into the year thinking, I'm going to head for divorce this year and I need to plan for it. Or I'm certainly not going to go, talking about it at work. And so it's incredible that you all are meeting both sides of that. But we also know that, just the financial burden in general and the numbers that you gave really are staggering. I didn't know those statistics, but beyond that, there are other financial strains that individuals face. Does Soteria Life address those as well, or is it strictly in the lane of divorce?
No, so we're, again, under the umbrella of family preservation. We are really focused on these common topics, but not really well met needs in the market. So they could be caring for aging parents, which is people are living longer now in the United States of America. And what you're starting to see are people bringing their parents into their homes. Well, while that's well intended, that creates a lot more stress on a household. Again, going back to the theme, financial instability, when you start to go below that and ask employees, what are you really concerned about? Paying for groceries is one of the biggest concerns, because now we have people living with us who are extra miles. That puts financial burden onto the household. So again, family preservation benefit, we have ways to supplement some of those unplanned financial costs. But more importantly, we have tools and resources to decompress that conversation around what is it like when you have a parent living in the home, whether planned or unplanned, caring for children with special needs. Also a very difficult, stressful event that families are navigating right now as well. So that's just a example of the range of life events that we're leaning into right now. We want to be the easy button for people. So we're going to use what employers are offering, supplemented by the partnerships and the experts that we have delivered through our technology system so that people get the resources they need quickly and in an easy way.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit.
Sure.
You mentioned that EAPs, traditional EAPs, do have a very low take rate or underutilized. What makes Soteria Life different? What do you see as kind of your biggest value prop?
It's by far our focus on the user interface and user experience. So if you think about cell phone penetration, for right or wrong, all of us are carrying around, this device daily. And for at least this household, this is where the majority of our decisions are made, is through the cell phone. And so if you think about traditional EAP systems, I'm making an extreme example. Most of them are 800 number that exists on some website after you click 4 times from some website that you don't really know existed in the first place. So what we're doing is giving people an easy button, meeting them where they are, using technology. And then if you're familiar with ChatGPT interface, it's just a way to park very natural language into our system and ask very normal questions, right? I don't need to be a benefit expert to say, I'm struggling right now as a 41-year-old man sitting in Chicago. I don't know the difference between Plan 1, Plan 2, and Plan 3, but I do know I care about being here for my children. We have a family history of X, right? And here's what I need to pay because of my other family obligations. What recommendations can you give me? That's a very easy conversation to have, and we put that in everybody's pocket so that they can have that easy conversation.
Awesome. Will, we've got a lot of benefits leaders, both on the consultant side and the HR side, that listen to the Granite List Live. And so I'm sure they're asking the question, all right, what is your business model? Can you spell that out for us?
Sure. In very high level terms, I can. So we're just like traditional EAP services, but better. So employers would approach us. We would configure a plan that's right for them, usually based on the number of employees that they have. We also have services where we're giving the employer information and insights around where the consumption is happening in their organization, what's driving that consumption, and then how that information can be used to right-size their benefit plans going forward. So we're helping them save time and money as well. And then we do actually allocate a portion of our percentage of our revenues to support areas of impact. So we give financial relief grants to people in need. So if an employer is engaged with us as a client and they have certain population that, for whatever reason, they don't want to take out loans or they don't want to use other financial products, but they're in a tough situation, they can qualify to apply for one of our financial relief grants. So we will write up to $25,000 of grants to people in need, and that's a part of our impact model for our business as well.
Okay, that was an uncovered gem just then. I did not know that. That is remarkable. So you're putting your money where your mouth is. And do you work with any size organization? Do they need to be self-funded, fully insured? Does it matter?
Sure. We'll meet organizations where they are. Typically, the size range are employers with 5 on up to, I'd say, 25,000 are about the sweet spot. Mostly in healthcare right now because, that's a overburdened population of people who are serving people day in and day out. And what we want to do is say, you don't need to be thinking an extra time about, the benefits you need. Let's give you an easy way to pour back into yourself, given the fact that you're spending a lot of time serving patients and dealing with a lot of stress. So right now we are focused on healthcare quite a bit. That does not mean we're not helping other organizations, but there's a lot of urgency around meeting that population where they were, given where we've been over the last, 5 years, but even beyond with that.
Absolutely. I mean, the burnout is real, and you're seeing it, and you're addressing it. So, any parting thoughts? Anything you want listeners to take away from today?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. Thanks for the work you all are doing at the Granite List. I think it's phenomenal just to get us as a community together as we think about serving people in a better, more efficient way in the 21st century. I think the high points on Soteria Life are, we're using well-being as our anchor point. We want people to be well. There is a way to quantify that. We have a partnership with Gallup on that, so we can come back with our clients and say, are you at or above the national average? So that our clients can actually use that as a way to attract and retain talent. The other thing is we're predicting outcomes. So as we start to build traction on this platform, we will start to make claims around how we're improving people's lives and making the nation and eventually the world a better place. So we're excited to be on the journey.
Well, Will, I know this has been a passion project for you and a labor of love. You did not grow up in the benefits industry. You've had a very successful career outside of this. And so we are so grateful to have you come into this big space to improve people's lives, improve their well-being, improve their financial well-being. You are really meeting some of the most pressing needs in both our industry and our country right now. So with that, thank you for joining us on today's show. And thank you to our audience for listening to another episode of The Granite List Live.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Granite List Live. Access our entire library by visiting your favorite podcast venue or subscribe on our site, thegranitelist.live.